Avengers Endgame was a religious experience for fans of the MCU and will go down as one of the biggest movies of all time. It's a damn near perfect closure to 11 years of storytelling. Sure, there's some questionable logic when it comes to the film's use of time travel.
What?
And the directors and writers can't seem to keep their stories straight. But these are not the most glaring problems with Endgame. Far and away, my biggest issue with Avengers Endgame is Captain Marvel.
Are you yawning in the middle of this while I'm breaking it down?
Hear me out. I'm not one of these piss babies who can't deal with an overpowered female superhero.
That was not my fault. We were specifically told to bring the heat.
I don't think Marvel is perpetrating some sort of radical feminist agenda, and I certainly don't blame Brie Larson for being sick of white dudes.
I don't hate white dudes.
We straight up suck.
How about a smile for me, huh?
I enjoy Brie Larson's acting work, from Scott Pilgrim to 21 Jump Street to Room. Captain Marvel was fun, and although it's near the bottom half of my all-time MCU rankings, she was the best part of the movie. That being said,
buckle up, folks.
Captain Marvel was grossly underutilized in Avengers Endgame.
Let's start at the beginning.
Marvel Studios made us some promises about Captain Marvel. First, there was the character's initial tease in the sole post-credit scene of Avengers Infinity War. The one ray of hope after we saw a bunch of our faves turned into dandruff. And with the release of Captain Marvel in March, not only did we get the mid-credits tease of Carol's first introduction to the Avengers,
where's Fury?
But Kevin Feige went on the record confirming Carol Danvers will be the linchpin of the MCU going forward. I just don't feel they delivered on those promises in Avengers Endgame.
Are you Tony's stank?
Tony Stark and Nebula are adrift in space on board the Benatar, and Carol shows up, like Space AAA, just before they have to start eating each other. She delivers them to Avengers headquarters, and everyone is brought up to speed on the 23 days post-snap. What I don't understand is, why do the Avengers act like this isn't the first time they've met this stone-cold space hottie, who just showed up in their front yard, unannounced? At this point in my first viewing of Endgame, I'm like, this is fun, but I have questions.
Think about these panic attack. Get it together.
I just had to assume the Captain Marvel mid-credit scene was essentially an out-of-continuity tease, and I just kept moving forward. It took me rewatching the clip on YouTube for me to realize that Carol arrives on Earth to answer Nick Fury's dusty-ass page, meets the Avengers, before piecing out to space again on a rescue mission to find Tony Stark, we assume. And the only reason I caught this is because of Captain America's beard. He has a beard in the Captain Marvel mid-credits, and is finishing a shave when Carol shows up with Tony and Nebula in Endgame.
Hold on, I just gotta rewind that.
I saw Captain Marvel. Imagine you didn't see Captain Marvel and she just shows up in Endgame and the other characters barely even react. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a big dumb idiot and this is my problem and my problem alone. But I feel like with a few simple changes, you can make Captain Marvel's introduction in Avengers Endgame less confusing.
I mean, why?
And give her more to do in the final act.
I mean, we owe it to everyone who's not in this room to try.
Here's how to solve the Captain Marvel problem in Avengers Endgame. First and foremost, completely change the mid-credit sequence of Captain Marvel. Carol's off adventuring in space. She gets Nick Fury's page. She books it towards Earth and poof, dust. People would have lost their damn minds. Now, on to Endgame.
We're in the Endgame now.
Take elements from the original Captain Marvel mid-credits to establish that they've found the pager, they've got it hooked up at Avengers HQ, and we can all just forget about it.
We don't even know what this is.
Fury did.
Let Tony and Nebula figure out how to get back to Earth on their own.
Whatever it takes.
Nebula is a living weapon with at least a passing knowledge of space travel, and can utilize the space jumps they established in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. He's Tony fucking Stark.
Language.
He built an Iron Man suit in a goddamn cave.
With a box of scraps!
Use that big brain on Tony. Figure it out. He solved time travel in an evening. He can get himself and the Blue Woman group back to Earth.
Sounds fair.
The Avengers didn't necessarily need Captain Marvel to find Thanos' farm, or to make him a foot shorter. With the exception of Hawkeye, this is the first time you have the original Avengers together, and on the same side since Age of Ultron. That's huge. You add Nebula, Rocket, and War Machine into the mix, and you've got a solid team of straight-up killers. ready to avenge their balls off.
Let's go get this son of a bitch.
For gosh sake, watch your language.
Pump Tony full of electrolytes and get your ass to Mars. They don't know Thanos is weakened or that he's destroyed the stones. So they're going in there with an airtight Avengers plan with Cap running point.
Call it, Captain.
All right, listen up.
This scenario comes to the exact same conclusion as Thor proves that you can indeed kill the Grimace. 5 years later, instead of having Carol peace out for 90% of the movie, cut her and her awful mom haircut from the 5-way Skype call, and there you have it. We've successfully removed Captain Marvel from the first 30 minutes of Endgame. Fast forward to Hulk snapping everyone back and Thanos' army showing up to wreck shop. Avengers HQ gets destroyed, and buried in the rubble is Nick Fury's pager, still working, but quickly getting submerged underwater. Everyone shows up through the Doctor Strange portals, Avengers assemble. During the epic final battle, Wanda is crushing Thanos' grapes with her totally not mutant powers, and he orders his ship to rain fire on the battlefield. Carol Ex Machina rolls up and smashes Thanos' party bus. And superhero landing evens out the sides.
Yeah, that's really hard on your knees.
Having been around the galaxy a few times, Carol probably knows Thanos' rep, right? One line apiece, you establish which side she's on and touch on the fact that Carol has been in space for 30 years, getting into it with the biggest motherfuckers in the universe and dropping their dicks in the dirt.
What, no smile?
Have Thanos throw out a line acknowledging a previous run-in with Carol, something like, "You again," or "Carol baby, how are you?" or "What did the 5 fingers say to the face?" But you know, more clever. Carol can roast him with something along the lines of, "Oh good, I see you've started wearing a helmet since last time. Smart." Or, "Hey there, big boy, you never call anymore." Or, "Drop the lawnmower blade, Purple Source Rex." This is a Marvel movie. The quips write themselves.
You sure that's what Marvel would want?
Marvel.
Marvel. Marvel sounds a lot better.
Now, instead of her first interactions with the Avengers taking place mostly off-screen, you have those fun fan service moments on the battlefield.
No, give me that. You have the little one.
Thor is like,
Stop the press. Who is that?
and Nick Fury steps out of a portal and deadpans, "I called her." Thor summons Stormbreaker, Carol no-sells it, and Thor says the thing
I like this one.
before they murder some space dogs. Carol and Fury have a quick interaction. Fury tosses out something along the lines of, "You got my message," or "Had to make an entrance, didn't you?" or "About damn time I called you 5 years ago." You get it.
That's all you had to say.
Cap is battling a member of the Black Order, let's say Corvus Glaive, and he's losing ground. Carol's got Proxima Midnight on her heels, and the two fights kind of pass by each other on the battlefield, and Cap digs a little deeper to keep up with Carol.
I could do this all day.
How about a moment with Carol and Rocket? Maybe they ran into each other at the Mos Eisley Cantina and Rocket wouldn't stop hitting on her. Or he recognizes her from Star Force and he's got warrants. The only other additions I would make would be an interaction with Tony where he explains the plan to play keep away with the gauntlet. Maybe in her fight with Thanos, Carol almost puts the gauntlet on a couple of times to tease the audience. Give me one more scene after Tony's funeral with Fury and Carol to tease the future. And that's all, folks. We've fixed the issues I had with Carol's involvement in the overall story of Endgame, added more weight to her arrival during the rain fire scene, and punched up her number of interactions with the existing characters to help embed Captain Marvel in this universe. I understand they shot Endgame before they even had a script for Captain Marvel, so that explains some of the issues, especially the haircut that screams, "I need to speak to a manager."
My hands aren't as steady as they used to be.
Avengers Endgame is amazing, a once-in-a-generation movie-going event, and as is, it's neck and neck with Infinity War as my top 2 all-time MCU movies.
That's pretty good, right?
The massive climax to this era of the MCU has been an embarrassment of riches.
Are you crying?
So maybe that's why the impossibly few missteps stick out like a giant Peter Dinklage thumb.
You were supposed to protect us.
In the end, my problem with Captain Marvel in Avengers Endgame speaks to how enthusiastic I am to see more of Brie Larson's Captain Marvel in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I think this guy is very cool.
For more piping hot takes like these, follow me on Twitter at BelieveInKnize and listen to the Panels on Pages podcast every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern, live on YouTube, and available anywhere you find podcasts.